But let's go ahead and jump down to the arena and see this round 3 pairing between Maxx and Iyslander. Bryce versus Devin.
Maxx Nitro the Hype, the third of the brand new heroes that we got from Bright Light. So you started the day with Teklo Vossen, then we got Dash IO. Here it is, Maxx Nitro the Hype. So these heroes are actually seeing some success in this tournament, which is great, but this is going to be a very difficult hill to climb. Iyslander has always been, for the most part, one of the more strong, potent heroes. Again, a hero that takes a lot of skill to pilot properly. A lot of the best players in the world love this hero. Players like Majin Bey is just all about the wizardry. And seeing an Iyslander played to its potential is something to behold. As even yesterday we got Iyslander in such a fascinating matchup. But again, she got knocked out by Evan, who played Lexi. But this isn't Lexi. This is Maxx Nitro. And how do you feel this matchup's gonna go?
Well, I think this is an interesting one because it seems on the face of it that Maxx wants to play a much more threadbare resource light version where you're using every single resource to do exactly what you want as far as creating hyperdrivers, and then those hyperdrivers can feed your engine to be able to pay for things later down the road. And if there's disruption that can come down from Iyslander early to stop that creation of those hyperdrivers and the engine itself from really getting rolling, Maxx may struggle into this exact matchup. But Devin played this yesterday, spent the entire day on Maxx, and so I'm sure he's got some ideas for how this matchup's going to play out. In fact, if you'd like to see Devin play a very fun, very close matchup against Lexi, you can check out the stream from yesterday. I don't recall if it was round 4 or round 3, but go ahead and hop back onto the stream and scroll back through. You might find it.
The good news is I added timestamps as soon as the stream was over.
Why are you so professional?
Even when the streams are on your channel, Diorama, you don't do
so
that.
Professional and so handsome and yet so backhanded.
Oh, yes.
Compliments and criticism.
The stream's not over until the timestamps are added, because whenever I click on a video and there's no timestamps, it drives me nuts. I don't want to be one of those people.
Yes, okay.
All right, well.
I appreciate the fact that you take the extra time to stamp, and yes, I don't know if I can draw on this screen, but I can because we have a consummate professional over in the booth in the mothership, and I just want to point this out. This is right here, exactly right there is Flake's exact favorite sleeve.
I hate that.
It's a huge fan of that.
I do not like that sleeve.
There it is. It's just
my God.
It pushes you into the uncanny valley territory.
It's weird.
You know that's the face that exists there, but it's supposed to be expanded, and unfortunately, it is just awful to look at. Just
God.
I'm not saying that his face is awful.
Freaking neckbeard Megamind over here. I'm not a fan of this card. Okay, I do not like the sleeve.
Wait, who is this?
This
I
is
don't know the story at all.
This is a player from the Wisconsin area that traveled to a Min-Max event and played on stream. And this sleeve appeared, and I loved it. And Flake was disgusted, threw up in his mouth a little bit on stream during the reveal of this. And so the player came over and tracked us down and gave us a stack of these sleeves.
I politely declined.
You did, and I accepted. And then from this point forward, I have managed to bring or find more of them or get given more of them, and then I make sure that I give them to Flake.
I politely decline.
You don't have an option because oftentimes I'll just sleeve up a card that you own with it.
You do that. That's absolutely it. Hey, wow! Now that is some high roll action right over there. The 3 beats the 2 every day of the week. Okay, so Devin is going to choose first or second. Usually against Iyslander, you probably want to go first. You don't want to give Iyslander the opportunity to go ahead and play with the arsenal and get things rolling. Nonetheless, Bryce on Iyslander starting at 36 health. Iyslander has been a mainstay of the meta for, I'd say, since probably World Championships of 2022. So we're coming up upon almost exactly a year to the month there when Michael Hamilton brought Bullander to that tournament, won that tournament, and really changed the way people looked at Iyslander as a hero, bringing in the physical attacks and such. So Iyslander, ever since then, has been a mainstay as a tier 1 or tier 2 plus type hero. So the clock's rolling, friends. It is going to be Devin on Maxx Nitro the Hype.
Now, I believe, and I'm not sure, but I believe Devin did choose to go first, like you mentioned. I think that would be the correct call as well because it gives you the opportunity to set up your first hyperdriver. And again, you want to be able to start setting up that engine of hyperdrivers so that you can, get these free resources that can help you pay around disruption and frostbites and channel lake fridges and things like that. So I would imagine he chose to go first in this scenario, but we will see as players draw up their hands, take a look at what is available to them. The beautiful Teklo Foundry Heart altar on top here. I just think this is a really, really cool altar. I would love for them to do something like that as like maybe an alternate art card version of the card, because I think the old like adaptive plating like blueprint is probably the coolest look for a mechanologist. Starting off with twin drive, is he choosing the double boost option? He's going to boost one time, boosts a twin drive away. That one's a foil, so that one does attack for even more. Now, on this turn, this is exactly, this is how you know what you're playing against when you see a Raging Onslaught being played in the deck. That is an interesting addition. That might signal that you're playing even more of the Iyslander thing, unless you just don't play the actual, like, Wounded Bull, and instead you're playing Raging Onslaught, which is an interesting little tech piece. Going to set up the hyperdriver and pass on over.
I mean, I would respect you for it.
I love this. Again, one of the things that I really like about this game and this community is that the players oftentimes are just going to be so jovial when they're playing, having a good time. It's always good to see. So here's the first actions for Bryce, and setting up an Insidious Chill.
Now that is great.
Definitely a great opener here. This is just going to live evergreen onto the board until it gets wiped out here. But the swinging with the Waning Moon again on Bryce's turn means it's only coming in for 2 Arcane. And besides the Achilles Accelerator, you do have, I believe, the headpiece is going to be an AB2.
Yeah, Visiortronic Model I or Model 1, depending on what you want to call it, gives you AB2. And then you have Achilles Accelerator for AB1. So you have AB3, which is solid in this matchup, and that's the benefit that Mechanologist gets. And look, we're playing Boom Grenades. How fun is this? The Boom Grenade draw and follow up with the Crank, most likely, we're going to see, but that is an unfortunate reality that you have to play into. The Frostbite plus the Channel Lake Frigid with an Insidious Chill already on the board. This turn 0 into turn 1 draw and play is nuts for Bryce.
Then let's do something crazy, like play a Jumpstart?
All right,
Okay.
Jumpstart.
Now,
Next
Jumpstart
up.
is going to be discounted by 1, but then it's going to cost extra no matter what, because we do have the Frostbite and the Channel Lake Frigid tax as well. I don't know if he's floating any resources here. This would be a 1 for 5 that then becomes a 3 for 5. Is that correct on that front? Because the Frostbite plus the Channel Lake Frigid, so I don't think he has the 1 floating, but I could be wrong. Tell me in chat if I am incorrect.
I believe he's representing the hyperdriver gained him a resource.
Oh, yes, that is correct, because the hyperdriver does trigger. Yes, that is indeed correct. The Boom Grenade here is just sitting innocuously, but also threatening extra damage if the Iyslander chooses to let something hit. And most likely that will be the case after establishing a CLF. And having 1 card in pitch, the cover up here, and then the card in hand. If that is, well, Expedite does not push the breakpoint, but it does boost here. Going to pay the resource. You have to pay the resource because Channel Lake Frigid makes this go from 0 to 1.
Here we go.
And this is threatening to either give me the card or I Boom Grenade you, and he's going to give a second CLF. Okay, so this is actually a great turn of events for Devin, because this CLF is not long for the world that is on the board.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, this course of action here is basically eliminating 2 CLFs, and that's that's a big get, especially for a deck that goes wide with the amount of boosts and sort of those types of attack patterns here. Having 1 CLF on the board that cannot be taken.
Now look how good this Banksy is, because what this Banksy does is it says if it hits, and it will, I get to put a steam counter on an item I control with Crank. So this normally just applies to a hyperdriver, but in this scenario, Boom Grenade just gets to sit out here with impunity, because yes, it didn't go off this turn, I cranked it, but because I am going to hit you with Banksy and you can't do anything about it, I just get to put a steam counter on Boom Grenade, and it's gonna go again next turn.
Love it. Absolutely love it over here. As Bryce just wondering, man, 2 CLFs, you just drop a CLF and you just think that your turn has been kind of rescued to that degree. Every time that you just kind of cheated out in that regard, and having another one in hand like that, you're like, okay, I think things are going very well for me over here. But unfortunately, for Bryce. Devin was able to actually just muscle through it and managed to actually squeak out a second CLF purely off of the block value. In this case, this is the one that was cheated out. No flow counter because there's no ice card in the pitch zone. So 2 CLFs are kind of just gone. That really got no value to that degree.
No value whatsoever. So the steam counter comes off the boom grenade, and we start off with a 2 for 6 boost throttle. And there's no way to disrupt this from the arsenal because we stole every card from the hand, and now we're coming in a 2 for 6 boost. That's going to be indicated there. We have 2 cards in hand, 2 resources floating thanks to the destruction of the hyperdriver. And we have ways to continue this on, and that boom grenade is always threatening. And he takes 2 Emeritus Scolding Blues as well.
That's what we're talking about. These are some big hits over here that are just getting thrown away in terms of just preserving life total. Bryce here is kind of finding these cards really inopportune times. Maybe you give up 1, but giving up 2 Emeritus Scoldings, you've only got 1 left. We talk about the reach late game in terms of sort of pulling the rug out from under your opponent on their turn to just steal a win in that case. Emeritus Scolding typically is kind of one of those key pieces to make that happen.
You're exactly right, and being able to just rob your opponent of 2 of them because of the threat of 10 damage right here on the spot is insane. And here's the second boost on throttle, and the 6 comes down. And at this point, you just have to be priced into taking boom grenade damage. So do you value block and then go back to your turn arsenaling a card so that you can at least play some amount of disruption? But in doing so, you're going to take somewhere in the ballpark of, 7 to 10 damage on this turn just because you want to arsenal a card.
And boom grenade, of course. I mean, if any Mechnologist attack action card is going to hit that, you just destroy it. It's just free damage in that regard. There's nothing you can throw in front of that to block it. It's just dealing 3 damage.
No, and look at this. If he makes this block like he does, he's going to cover this up. He's priced into doing it again next turn because that Banksy's going to come across since he's... Oh, no, he has to create the... let's see if he creates... Does he have a blue? If he creates a hyperdriver here... No, he doesn't. Okay, so the boom grenade is going to dissipate in this moment. So there was a chance if he had a blue in hand, he could have, made a hyperdriver, cranked, and then paid 1 into the Banksy and done this whole dance again. All right, start a turn. That boom grenade finally goes away. But what did that do? What did it accomplish? Well, it took 2 entire turns off of the Iyslander player and took 2 entire cycles of 2 very powerful cards away from them.
What's awesome to know here is also that the turn kind of, the whole game kind of started fairly well for Bryce, opening with an Insidious Chill, a great